of different type of souvenirs that I like to bring back, conceptual souvenirs. It's Shuo Hua Yon Hua. Now, what does it mean? It means speaking around and smooth. I just did a tour of China for a few weeks, holding philosophical workshops and consultations. And on the way back, I was asked to tell a little bit about my trip, give some souvenirs of my trip. What did I bring back from this trip? Now, I know that most people, when they visit a place, mainly they will speak about what they have visited, maybe what they eat, what they ate, the people they met, right? But I have different type of souvenirs that I like to bring back, and these are conceptual souvenirs. And in this case, I picked up a very interesting concept while I was speaking with my Chinese friends. And the concept in Chinese, let me give it, my Chinese is not very good. It's Shuo Hua Yon Hua. Now, what does it mean? It means speaking around and smooth. And now the reason I bring it up is not just some accidental or side concept, but actually it's a very important expression in Chinese, not only as something that's being said, because maybe it's not said so much, but at least as a practice, as a social practice, as a cultural practice, as a way of behaving in relation between people, as a way of holding dialogue, right? Now, what does it mean, this speaking round and smooth? Now, first of all, we do have in English the expression a smooth talker, right? And when somebody's a smooth talker, it's very ambiguous, because on the one side, he speaks well, he knows, he has his way with words, he knows how to speak, how to please people, how to seduce, whatever. But at the same time, there's something suspicious about it. We cannot really trust him, because he more uses words to manipulate, So it's a rather ambiguous expression. But in Chinese, in the Chinese culture, no, it is a positive idea. In fact, parents tell children to learn to speak this way, to speak in a round and smooth way. And the reason is because it's often a primary preoccupation in the Chinese culture is to avoid conflicts, right? Avoiding conflicts, the concept of harmony is very important in Chinese culture. And so parents will tell children that that's how they should learn to speak, to dialogue with people in order to avoid conflict as a main preoccupation, right? Now, of course, the foreigner might find some difficulty especially if he comes from a culture which is rather straightforward, will encounter some difficulty to know more precisely, more straightforwardly what people are saying. You have to sort of understand indirectly, in a subtle way, in an implicit way, what people are saying, right? But I was investigating a little bit if that's really totally a positive idea. And so I asked, for example, well, do parents want their children to speak to them in this fashion? And then people say, well, no, they would rather have the truth. They want their children to tell them the truth. Yeah. But then there's a paradox, a typical paradox of most cultures, where parents tell children something but show something else, right? In other words, we would like the children to learn to speak in a round and smooth way, except when they speak with us. But that doesn't go so easily. Why suddenly should he change, especially if he sees that speaking straightforwardly will provoke a certain reaction on the part of his parents and certain unwanted reactions. Yeah. And one of the arguments for this type of speech is that if you don't do that, then what you get as an alternative is something emotional, something aggressive. And indeed, in Chinese culture, the opposition, the objection, the contradiction is not really welcome. It's not pleasant, and people will get easily offended, feel insulted, will feel upset when somebody explicitly contradicts what they're saying. Right? It's viewed as improper and is viewed as rather aggressive. So people will say, well, it's better to speak round and smooth, because if you don't do that, then you're going to get into a fight. Yeah. And it's interesting that you have this dualistic system where either you don't really say things or very indirectly, or you get into a fight. But the idea, and that's what I do primarily in the workshops or the consultation that I lead, is to invite people to something more clear, more straightforward, more explicit. Yeah. And it's difficult. There's something resisting, because at the same time, they have to be more straightforward and more clear, but at the same time, not get upset about it and just accept it as let's agree even to disagree, or to be able to say, I don't understand what you're saying, or I don't agree with what you're saying, but say it in a very explicit way. Yeah. So that creates a certain difficulty. Yeah. But the main thing is that the main interesting point of this round and smooth talking, that in reality we want it, we want people to do it, we want to practice it, but fundamentally, existentially, psychologically, it does create a problem, because there is a desire for truth in the human being. Yeah, even though we deny it, even though this truth might be unpleasant. And actually, like often in cultures, something is being proposed that cannot be really satisfying. It's the best of all possible functioning, like to avoid conflict. But in reality, there's something unsatisfying about it. And that's what, in the consultation, many Chinese people express. Indeed, that they feel that there's a lack of real dialogue with other people, and particularly people close to them, like in a couple, like in the family, like with friends. Yeah. So it's an interesting concept. It's efficient in terms of avoiding conflict and having indeed smooth, harmonious relation, but it's still wanting in terms of our fundamental existential and psychological needs.